Yo, what's going on YouTube? Clover Bells here, back with another Series 12 team building video, and today we're looking at Yveltal Groudon, also known as Yveltal. This is something that I think I should have done earlier in the format, but I just never got around to it. But now I believe is a good time to try and do it, seeing as it just did well in a recent regional from Liverpool, thanks to Philip in part in doing Yveltal a service, so to speak. So the benefit here is, you have Groudon, you're going to pick an enabler to benefit off of the sun, usually either Venusaur or Charizard, and then you have the Yveltal that can pretty much, just either do one of two things. Either it can run an offensive set where you can make it a good Dynamax option, and then it can just go for hard-hitting Airstreams, hard-hitting Max Darknesses, or you can make it a bulkier set where you have the Assault Vest and then just use it to just support the rest of the team in general by weakening the opponent. Because, with the Assault Vest variant, Yveltal is not meant to be offensive. It's just meant to sit on the field, recover HP over time, and then just weaken the opponent's restricted or just weaken their other mons, while Groudon and company do rest of the damage. But yeah, now the thing is, Yveltal has a couple of weaknesses to it, mainly the Kyurem White matchup. I know Joe the other Joe, I should say, has always slated the Kyurem White Pokemon restricted, just because it has a little bit of trouble with it. But again, it's just not so common, and it's like, as many say, the gatekeeper. And there's still ways to deal with Kyurem White, and especially with the way we're going to try and build the team. And also, we'll make references to what Joe and Philip did to try and alleviate that Kyurem White weakness, if you, the viewer, care about it. But yeah, let's just go ahead and try and build the squad. So basically, you have Groudon here, and the main thing that I want to pair with Groudon here is the Venusaur here. Now, I know Venusaur has taken a huge nosedive at the moment in the meta, and I'm gonna put a video on that at some point, because like this Pokemon was so broken and was so respected in a single restricted format, and even in a non-restricted format, obviously, right? But then in the start of the format it was okay, but then all of a sudden it just dropped and fell off, and then Gastrodons started taking over, as did Seismitoads and other bulky water types, because the Venusaur was in a huge decline, and there's a reason for that. We'll talk about that in a separate video, but I still think it's good, especially on Yveltal, a team like this. If it was like for Zacian, then I think Charizard is the better option, right? But if it's something like this, then I think Venusaur is the play. It's still very, very good. You still have a very, very fast Dynamax option in the sun. You got something for Kyogre. You got, Weather Balls for Zacian and other steel types. You got Max Quake. You're pretty solid into Palkia. You have good options here. And, G-Max Vinelash, just like Wildfire, is quite broken. And when all things have taken chip damage, Groudon and Yveltal can just pretty much just clean up in the back. So there's no reason not to use Venusaur. I mean, there is some reasons why it has fallen, but again, another video. But then from here, I think Incineroar is just another good solid option, just for fake out pressure, a good answer for both Calorexes. Because you can intimidate the Ice Calyrex, and then you have a dark move for the Shadow Calyrex. So this is how you kind of have to think about when you're team building. Like, how do I answer the big restrictors? How do I not counter? Okay, people are going around right now and they're thinking, how do I counter Rinya's Sun? How do I counter the Sun 6? I think that's incorrect. I'm on Joe's boat on this one. You don't build the team to counter something specific, because then you're just weak to everything else. What you do is you leverage your team so that way you have an option or two to deal with certain matchups. So this way you rely on your play to win you the game. And I've been saying this for a couple weeks now. You're beating the player, not the team. Okay, because it doesn't matter how good the team is, right? If the player piloting it is not as good versus an opponent that has a poorer matchup but is playing it very, very well and has options, that player will generally win. All right. So beat the player, not the team. But anyway, here we go. So then from here, I think just adding overall bulk to the squad is always welcome. So Grimmsnarl definitely has to come. You know, there's like this little challenge out there. I challenge Cloverbells to make a full month's worth of team without using Grimmsnarl. Well, we already failed in that matchup. We already failed in that challenge already. Okay, it's just too good. Like either the mon is too good, or I'm just really good at using it, or a little bit of both. But like, I don't know how you don't run Grimmsnarl in this format. Like, broken Dynamax moves just get nerfed in half. You know, just not really nerfed in half, but get their damage reduced. And then, you know, you just ruin someone's day by just having your Pokemon live at 2 HP, or, you know, just ruining their damage calcs. It's just really strong. It's good against Palkia, which is running around right now. Some sets are even running Foul Play, which is good against like Calyrex, Groudons, and Solgaleos that want their weakness policy proc. So that there's something there. But you know, just having screen support is just really good, especially on an Yveltal team. Like, if Yveltal just sits behind screens and just clicks Oblivion Wing, you know, till the end of time, then that's it. Same with, like, you know, Groudon, just sitting behind screens and then, you know, going for your P-Blades or going for Swords Dances if you're not running the Assault Vest set. It's so good. And then from here, I think Regieleki is a solid option here. And this is the 6 that we're going to use. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you 2 variations, same 6 but different item sets, just to show you how differently the team can play. All right, and then what I'm going to do before that is give a little honorable mention to Mr. Bronzong over here, because Bronzong is actually a really good on an Yveltal team, because an Yveldon team, I should say, because the thing is, Bronzong gives you that end game option where you can do something like this, where you have Body Press, okay, Iron Defense, Trick Room, okay, and then over here you can run something like Protect, or you can run something like Gyro Ball, for example, okay, and even something like Safeguard. Any of these moves are fine. Let's just assume we have Gyro Ball for a second, right? And then maybe something here, something like Leftovers. Now, this is really good, because now what you can do is you can make your Groudon slow, and then Bronzong can click Trick Room. You have an option to click Trick Room against those Tailwind teams, and Groudon really likes Trick Room. And then what you do is, you know, you can take out all the major threats that Bronzong has, and then have Bronzong in the end game where you can, you know, go for these iron defenses, and then, you know, just boost up and just go for body presses in general, right? And what's good about this set is if you can get some iron defenses up, you can Dynamax the Bronzong, go for, you know, those steel spikes to make Groudon and Yveltal bulky over time. And what you can also do is go for Max Knuckles, which is great for Groudon, you know, because you have Body Press, and then Groudon's Precipice Blades and, you know, Rock Slides and Fire Punches or whatever your physical moves you're running on it, now they start hitting harder. And in Trick Room, remember, the Max Knuckle goes first before the Groudon, so that's really nice. So you enable the Groudon this way, and then after all your Steel Spike boosts, now your Body Presses already have the benefits of you know, having those defense boosts to deal more damage. So Bronzong looks really good. This is Philip's team, and this is the 6 that he used to just almost win the regional that we just had. Now, granted, Bronzong is good, and now what Joe also used, I also do want to say, was Tapu Koko. This is just for like the opposing Yveltal matchup. You know, I don't remember his set. I think it was like Life Orb here, but you know, Koko just walls an opposing Yveltal, and you know, it's really nice. And you know, just to have a fairy type in general, where you can deal big damage into Palkia, and then having electric terrain so you don't fall asleep and trick him against Amoonguss, really solid. And he did really well in an earlier tour, but I still like Regieleki. I think we're fine in this option. Now, if you want the Bronzong option, you can. I'm not going to build this because this is Phil's team. I mean, if you want, you can just use his 6. I have no reason to build it if he already has it, although he is keeping the team a secret. But if you really want me to build that, just let me know in the comments, and I'll send you a paste of that 6 with Bronzong. But you know, Grimm is just so good, man. Like, I don't know how it's really hard to give up Grimm, especially on a team like this with Venusaur, Groudon, and Yveltal. So we're gonna stick with Grimmsnarl here, and you know, we're just gonna play better and throw away the Bronzong endgame. Now, you know, Grimmsnarl again just gives us a little bit better matchup into Palkia, which is still running around. And then of course, you know, Screens is just so good. I don't know how you can give it up. So this is the 6 that we're gonna run. So let me just go ahead and reveal the GIFs. Groudon, Yveltal, Venusaur, Regieleki, Incineroar, and Grimmsnarl. Alright, so now what we're gonna do is we'll show you the 2 builds of our EV spreads, our items, and our movesets. And then we'll test it out in a couple battles. Okay, so let's take a look at how we're going to do the EV spreads and the items here. Now, also, I do want to mention, like, the reason also why we have Regieleki, if I didn't mention it, is you want good speed control on this team because, you know, Calyrex can be an issue, but not really because you have the Yveltal to, like, hard counter it. But you still want the Electrowebs just to help Venusaur and Groudon and even Yveltal outspeed certain things. You know, because Yveltal and Regieleki is a really nice combo, and as is Groudon and Eleki, because then you can just, you know, repivot with Volt Switch. You can go into your Venusaur, you know, and then just reposition that way. It's really good. And then even with an incoming ground move, you can pivot into your Yveltal slot, and then now you have an Yveltal plus something on the side to have a more favorable board position, right? So Regieleki with the focus size is really good here. So how are we going to do this? I'll show you the Life Orb set because I think Life Orb Yveltal has a place here. And then I'll show you like an Assault Vest variant. Actually, you know what? Let's just do the Assault Vest variant. Then I'll show you the Life Orb variant. All right. I'll show you version 2, which I think is a little bit better. But here, we'll go with the Assault Vest variant here. So it's going to be Oblivion Wing. It's going to be Foul Play. It's going to be Snarl and Sucker Punch, right? This is a standard Assault Vest Yveltal set. And again, the whole point is, you know, you weaken special attackers like Dialga and Palkia with Snarl. You use Foul Play to, you know, make them think twice about proccing Weakness Policy. By them, I mean, you know, Calyrex Ice Rider, Solgaleo, Necrozma Duskmane, all these things that have, you know, high attack stat. Even Zacian doesn't want to take Foul Play. Have you seen the damage calc for Foul Play into Zacian? It's like almost 50%. Right, and if you have this on Life Orb, it does a little more than 50%. It's really good. And then of course, you know, Sucker Punch can just pin the Calyrex slot, and then, you know, stab Sucker Punch against other low HP mons can just, you know, clean up. It's really good. In terms of EV spreads, I mean, we're just gonna keep it relatively standard here. So we'll go first bump in the special attack nature, which is modest. And again, if you're trying to play competitive Pokemon, you got to know what these EV bumps are, or also what I call EV benchmarks, right? And that's where the stat goes up by 2 points instead of 1. And there's 3 EV bumps, but they're only in the natured stat, right? So for example, here where I start moving the slider by 1, you see how this stat increases by 1. But at some point, I'm going to hit a bump right here, where you see 174 to 176, where the stat goes up by 2. And this happens every 80 EVs, all right? So again, if you don't understand what I'm saying in the video, again, just comment below and then I'll privately explain to you with a reply what EV bumps are. But you gotta know what they are if you're trying to play competitive Pokemon. Otherwise, you're not gonna do that well. Anyway, now from here, all we need to do is just pretty much just max this speed. I mean, there's no reason why you don't need to run max speed Yveltal here. Okay, my slider's a little broken here, so let's just do 252. And then what you want to do is add a little bit more into the HP. We're just trying to make it relatively bulky, and the magic number is 172 investment. And what this does is this will optimize weather damage from sand and hail, because if you take out your calculator, weather damage is 1/16 of your health, right? And here's my calculator. If I do 223 divided by 16, my answer is 13.9375, and in Pokemon that rounds down to 13. So instead of taking you know, for example, let me break the threshold to 224. Now I'm going to be taking 14 points of damage per turn. But why would I take 14 points of damage per weather chip if I can undercut the threshold and go to 223 and take only 13.9, which rounds down to 13 damage of HP per turn from my weather? Okay, now granted, I do have a Groudon, so I may not even be taking rockfall or hail damage, but you know, the opponent will. They may want to change my weather, which is one thing you want to do against a Sun team, right? So we want to at least optimize our HP for that. And then from here, the Assault Vest, you just want an even number here. You know, just something like 120, just because you get the best bang for your buck with the Assault Vest. Because if you read it, you get a 1.5 boost But if you have an odd number here, for example, like let's say I just have 1 point here. Now, if you do 119 times 1.5, you're gonna get a decimal, and that decimal will round down. So then you're just wasting EVs that way into your special defense, because you don't want your stats rounding down. You want them rounding up, okay? Or, you know, not rounding down at all. But if you go to an even number like this, 120 times 1.5, you get a nice whole even number, and that's how you get the benefit of the assault vest. Nothing gets rounded down. And then the last point here is in defense. And this is a very standard Yveltal spread that's modest. It's on Pikalytics, so yeah, we're just keeping it, you know, as a relatively good starting point. Groudon here. Actually, before we even just go through EV spreads, let me just go through like the what I normally do, which is the movesets and the items. So let's just go Groudon here. I know Assault Vest is the more popular item at the moment just because of the moves that you can have in terms of coverage, and then you can just literally sit in front of Kyogre's water spout and it just doesn't do that much damage. But still, I still see value in Sitrus Berry with Swords Dance and Protect, because when I play against Regieleki, the fact that I know that the Groudon cannot protect is very advantageous, right? And the fact that I know it can't Swords Dance is also advantageous to me. Now, what that means is because I can Intimidate spam it, and I can Parting Shot it, I can click whatever I want in it, and it can't protect. Alright, and if I cycle it, I know it can't click Swords Dance to get its attack back because I know it's Assault Vest, right? But if you're Sitrus Berry, now you have to think a little bit more, because, you know, if I time my protects correctly and if I click Swords Dance against Incineroar or Landorus Intimidates, then, you know, they start thinking, oh, now what do I do? You know, so I still like Sitrus Berry here. And then with enough SPDF investment, you know, with the Sitrus Berry, you're able to switch into Kyogre's Water Spout, take one, activate the berry, get health back, and then be able to take a second one and still live. All right, so that's the benefit of Sitrus Berry. And I still like it on this kind of team. All right, Precipice Blades and Rock Slide. These are your other two moves here on this kind of set. Venusaur. So we're going to make this the aggressive Venusaur. We're going to go Life Orb Venusaur. We're going to go Leaf Storm. Okay, I'm going to skip this slot for a second. Earth Power, of course, Max Quake. Really good against Zacian, really good against Incineroar. And then Sleep Powder. Now, normally here in this slot, you would have something like Weather Ball. And Weather Ball is really, really good into Venusaur. But I'm going to go a little bit of a different route this time. And it might surprise you, the viewer. But understand why I'm doing this. I'm going Sludge Bomb here. Just because one thing you can do is if they have a Grimmsnarl and if they lead it, what you can do is, you know, fake out their Grimmsnarl and then just KO it with Max Ooze or Sludge Bomb, because you don't want an opposing Grimmsnarl setting up on you. It's just really, really annoying. You don't get enough kills. You're not super hyper offensive. You're more like defensive and you're more pivoting. You're more bulky. But if you can remove the opponent's Grimmsnarl right off the bat with Fake Out and then just Sludge Bomb it, it's really, really good. And the other thing is you can power up your Regieleki. So now this gets a special attack boost if you're in position with it. Because you can lead Groudon Venusaur, switch out your Groudon to Leki, go for Max Ooze, and now Regieleki next turn has a +1 boost. Or you can do it into Yveltal, because let's say you lead Venusaur Groudon, they lead Incineroar, they intimidate your Groudon, now it's not a favorable spot, switch out into Yveltal, Dynamax the Venu, potentially go for Max Ooze, boost up Yveltal, and now with the Assault Vest, now you have a +1, so now Yveltal is looking really good in the mid to late game if it can get a special attack boost. And then Venusaur itself can do more damage, because then if you have +1 Gmax Vine Lashes, then now you're just sweeping at that point, right? So really, really good. And of course, you still threaten Sleep Powder. I still think you have to respect Venusaur in terms of like going for these Sleep Powder shenanigans. If you have no goggles on your Incineroar, a lot of them are running Shuka Berry now. So I think that's not a mistake, but you know, I think because they're doing this, I think now is a perfect time for Venusaur to come back into play into the meta and reestablish its dominance. But yeah, this is my reasoning with Sludge Bomb. Now, if you think Weather Ball is too good, then you can give up the Earth Power. Okay, so that's always an option. But I do think Sludge Bomb is correct with this composition with Yveltal and Regieleki in terms of being offensive. But yeah, from here, all right, Light Clay, definitely. Spirit Break is good. Of course, light screen and reflect. Okay, and this is going to be Thunder Wave. So this is the hacks move, right? This is the speed control move. Now, in the other team, we'll go with Scary Face, just because you know, you can't click Thunder Wave into Landorus, and Landorus can give this team a little bit of trouble. So I think Scary Face on this kind of comp specifically is better, just because I can slow the Landorus, right? And if there's Trick Room matchups, then I can slow down my Groudon, and then I can get the speed control back, right? So that's the benefit of having Scary Face. But that's our second build, so keep watching the video and see how we build the second variation of this team. But here in Incineroar, safety goggles, man, I think it's always correct. Flare Blitz, Fake Out, Parting Shot, and Throat Chop. This is relatively standard. And then Regieleki here with Focus Sash, also relatively standard. Then we'll just do, you know, Electro Web, Thunderbolt. That's Thunder. Can't be clicking that in the sun. Thunderbolt. There it is. Volt Switch, our pivot move, and then Protect. Now, if you want, you can tech this out and go with something like Eerie Impulse, or go with something like Screech for Groudon, but I don't think it's necessary. I think Screech is really good against if you have like one's physical restricted and another strong physical restricted, but we don't have that option. I mean, Incineroar can benefit from Screech, but not that much. I still think Volt Switch is correct in terms of doing pivot moves. Alright, so we got our 6, we got the items, we already did the Yveltal spread. The easiest one here is Regieleki. You know, you're just going 252, 252. There's no reason to not, and of course your timid nature here. Instant, we're just going to keep using the same instant spread that we've been using. We're going to go Careful Nature, just so that we can survive those special attacks. We're going to go just about 28 speed here. I think this is okay. You can go even slower, and then just go for more bulk. But again, I'm going to go Second Nature in the Careful, second bump in the Careful Nature, I should say. So the first one's at 76 investment. So take a look here. You see how you go from 130 to 132. This is again our first EV bump, and again, if you go another 80 EVs, that's 76 plus 80, which is 156, and this stat should go up by 2 again for the second time. So you see how you go from 141, boom, 143, right? There's your second EV bump. And again, I do all of this during a coaching session that you'll do with me. So if you want to do coaching with me, tier 2 sub or a tier 3 team building sub, all right, join the channel and then message me on Discord or on Twitter, and then we can get your session started. But I do all this kind of coaching with fundamentals and team building in our Discord call. So consider subbing to the channel. All right, very affordable, $5 or $10, which either one works. Now from here, I think you just want to max out your HP, just be bulky as possible, and then 68 defense. This will allow you to survive Zacian close combat after an Intimidate. More of a Series 11 thing and previous format, but you know, you still have to respect it. There's still a few of them running around now, so I still have the defensive investment here. And you know, because you have Intimidate, you don't need too much defense investment, in my opinion. So there's that. Grimmsnarl, same kind of spread that we've been using. Again, also Careful Nature. Also just a little bit of speed. Second EV bump here to 121, and then with 156 investment and then 220 HP. Again, this is going to let you live the Zacian Behemoth Blade after an Reflect and Intimidate pivoting into the second slot. So Zacian unable to kill Grimmsnarl with our spread here. So that's really good. Venusaur, what I want to do with Venusaur is I'm actually going to make it fast, but you know, not like max speed fast. We're still going to go modest. I still like 212 investment here. What this does is it lets you outspeed base 100s after they get +1. So imagine Charizard and Zapdos, they click Airstream, they're +1 now. You're still faster in the sun with their Venusaur. So I think that's important. And then from here, you just want to optimize your HP with the Life Orb. All right, so something ending in 9, so something like either 159 or 169. Why? Because Life Orb, what does it do? If you read it, you lose 1/10 of your max HP every turn. So if I have 169, what is 169 divided by 10? 16.9. So you're taking 16 points of damage per turn. If you cut the threshold and go to 170, now what is 170 divided by 10? It's 17. Now you're taking an extra HP point of damage, you know, per turn with the life orb. Why would I do that? So just always undercut it and go to either something like 159 or 169. So this way you get the best bang for your buck. You almost cap the threshold, but still optimize the HP where you don't, you know, exceed it and take the next differential in damage. All right, from here, you just want, you know, again, the bump in the special attack stat, which is 154. But honestly, you can just do a little bit more, because here I'm just getting an even number for the max quake boost. I always want an even number there. And you just have 16 EVs left over, so you can just dump it here into special attack. Just do a little bit more damage. It's totally fine. And that's our Venusaur spread. All right, so we're coming along. We did the Yveltal and the other four, so now it's just Groudon here. So Groudon, what I think is okay in terms of this kind of team is just being a little bit fast. I put Jolly. I'm supposed to put Adamant. I'm sorry. So Adamant here just to outspeed Thunderous after +1 Airstream. I think that's okay. Or after a -1 in terms of Electro Web, and then potentially KOing it with something like Rock Slide. I think this is fine. And then you want an even number with the Sitrus Berry, so you go to 244 HP, and then you reach the first bump in the attack stat with 76 investment. Right, you have a 198 attack Groudon, just 1 point in defense, and then the rest goes into special defense. And this is pretty good in terms of special defense poke against Kyogre. We'll show you those calcs in the damage calculator after we're done building both squads. But yeah, this is it. I think we did it all in terms of this first build. All right, and again, what I'm going to do now is I'll show you a second build with the same 6 but different movesets and a little bit different EVs. Okay, so now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take this version and I'm going to adjust it into a second build that I think is ideal. The Grimmsnarl, the Instant, and the Regieleki, they're going to be pretty much the same. The one thing I will change is these three: the Venusaur, the Groudon, and the Yveltal. So what we're going to do is we're going to make it more offensive. We're going to change the Assault Vest to Life Orb. Alright, then we'll make the Groudon the Assault Vest variant. And then the Venusaur actually will make it Weakness Policy, right? I always like Weakness Policy behind Grimmsnarl screen support. So now what that means is now these EVs and these moves are going to change a little bit. So here we'll just reset our EVs a little bit. So we'll still be max speed, but now instead of Modest, we'll be Timid, right? So this way we can speed tie those other Life Orb Yveltals running around. And then instead of Foul Play and Snarl and Sucker Punch, we'll have Protect instead. Okay, and then we'll have Dark Pulse, right? Because now Max Darkness is going to be boosting both Aleki and Venusaur's damage. So now we're doing the flip way, I should say, because now you're going for special defense drops instead of special attack boost. All right, and then Heat Wave is always really, really nice on Groudon teams because you're getting the boost from Groudon itself. So, and this is pretty good against Zacian as well. Now, in terms of our EVs, we're just going to optimize the Life Orb chip again. So instead of 201, we're going to go to 209. All right, 1 point in the bulk, and then the rest just goes into special attack, right? So again, if you remember, Modest Yveltal was at 176. Now this is at 175, but now you have a Life Orb. All right, so you're doing a little bit more damage. Groudon, so now with this kind of set, we're just going to make it slow, okay? And let me just reset everything. And then now you don't need so much special defense investment. Now because you have the Assault Vest, you're going to have a little bit more wiggle room in the EVs. But what I will say is now you don't get Swords Dance and Protect. Now instead, you can get Fire Punch, really good into Zacian. That's Fire Blast, sorry. Fire Punch, really good for the Steel types as well, not just Zacian. And then Heavy Slam, which becomes Max Steel Spike when you Dynamax it. So really good at resisting Behemoth Blade from Zacian. You can get potential only 2-hit KO'd this way if you have the right investment. But then from here, what I want to do is just, you know, go to the third bump in the attack stat, which is I believe 236. Yeah, you see how you go from 218 to 220. This is the third benchmark in Groudon's EVs. And then from here, just leftover bulk that goes elsewhere. So like a nice even number here, and then just dump the rest. Here you have an even number for Steel Spike, and then 60 special defense. You know, there's really no crazy spread to run with Groudon here. I just want the third bump. I want to be a little bit faster than those 112 speed creepers that are trying to outspeed base 100s after Airstream, or outspeed Calyrex after Tailwind. I want to be at least faster than them. And you know, this is good coverage. Now the one thing I will say about Rock Slide is you can keep it. I do think Stone Edge is really, really nice. But there may be situations where you might prefer Rock Slide, especially trying to get the flinch hacks as maybe your way out. So I'll leave it there, but you know, Rock Slide is an option, but I do think Stone Edge is just a tad bit better at the moment, especially with all this attack investment. But if you like Rock Slide, you can keep Rock Slide. Venusaur, so with the weakness policy, you know, if things want to click Airstream behind my screens, they can, but we don't need so much special attack anymore. We just want to go for bulk so we can live that attack and do some damage with the policy. So we're just going to go first bump here in the special attack. This is a much weaker Venusaur, but again, the idea is to sit behind screens, let them proc my policy, let me get the damage boost, and I still have Gmax Vinelash doing the job anyway, so there's no reason not to dump this into bulk. Now from here, we're just going to want to go to 156. This is good against changing of the weather if they go for Hailstorm or if they go for Sand, because now you optimize your HP with this number of 175. Because what is 175 divided by 16, right? Always got to count for weather. That is 10.937. So you only take 10 damage of weather per turn, as opposed to this, where if you're 176, now you're taking 11 damage, right? You don't want to be doing this. All right, and then honestly, here you just invest in defense, you know, just in case, you know, Landorus wants to click Airstream, but you have Reflect, and then you have your own Incineroar. You can live that, and then you just, you know, get a free policy boost, get Groudon in, and the Venusaur just starts smashing things. All right, but you don't need Sludge Bomb anymore. You can go back to Weather Ball, because it's Yveltal that's going to be boosting your attack damage, not necessarily Venusaur. But if you still like the idea behind Sludge Bomb on the Venusaur, definitely consider putting it back. I mean, it's still okay. I still think on this type of team, Weather Ball is a little bit more preferred. All right, so we did the EVs here, here, and here. And then Grimmsnarl, Incineroar, and Regieleki, they stay the same. So this is version 2 of the team. All right, so notice how we change the sets, and notice how the team plays a little bit differently, right? Because now you don't Dynamax the Yveltal as much. You mostly Dynamax either the Venusaur or even the Groudon can max. Sometimes you can max the Yveltal, but not as much as this kind of team, where Yveltal is a much more stronger Dynamax option and a little bit better. And then Venusaur still is another max option, but you know, you have Groudon in the back as well, with Regieleki and Incineroar coming in for support. And in some games, Yveltal does come where it's actually a little bit more favored, rather than just being like something to counter Calyrex Shadow Rider, right? So I actually like the second team a little bit better than the first one, just because you have the Life Orb variant, and you have Weakness Policy Venusaur, which I like. But yeah, we'll test both out. But let me just show you a couple of damage calcs. Okay, so let's look at the damage calc with Yveltal Heatwave for Zacian. Now, normally, again, Yveltal is not meant to beat Zacian, but if you have the speed advantage, you know, if you have a little help from your Grimmsnarl, you have the option to click that Heatwave. Now, it doesn't do like super big damage, but what happens here is if you have the Sun, now it's even bigger, 82 to 97.6%. But the idea is, when you're Dynamax, you don't need the Sun to be able to KO the Zacian. Like, this just KOs it almost every other day of the week. This is a jolly Zacian. If this was Adamant, then it has a chance to live, because those Adamant Zacians are a little bit more bulkier. But again, look at this damage. It's pretty good. If we look into like something like Solgaleo, for example, or even like the Calyrexes, let's just use this one, the bulky one. So like Max Darkness just absolutely murders Solgaleo if it's not max. And then even if it is max, Like, that is just so much damage into Solgaleo. Like, and you look at this, I have special defense investment in here, so it hurts a lot. Another one is the Calyrex, of course. Calyrex Ice Rider. Let's go with like a custom set here. You know, even like this is just ridiculous damage. Like, you max this thing, like, okay, guaranteed 64 or to 76 damage. Basically 20 to 30% of its health left. Like, that's definitely like within range from like an Incineroar Flare Blitz, for example. So yeah, I mean, it just does really good damage. So these are some of the calcs that you want to think about as you're trying to plan for your squad. Okay, let's just go into Groudon next. Okay, so this is our Groudon calcs against modest Kyogre, right? That's basically almost full bump. Let's just make it full 252 modest, right? So in the sun, Water Spout is going to do just about 50% to about 58%. So you can take a Water Spout in the sun. Same, Origin Pulse is even worse. That's like guaranteed 3-hit KO. So you can live definitely 2 of them. Again, not all Kyogres are going to be like modest 252. Some of them are even going to be timid. But with the Assault Vest, the point is you can take 1 and then deal some damage back with Precipice Blades, because Groudon Rain doesn't affect Groudon's attacks, right? So it's very solid there. What about like Zacian here? So if it's Zacian standard set, it's going to do 70% to even like a Dynamax Groudon here. But if you have a Steel Spike boost like this, now that does less than half, and now it's a 3-hit KO from a Jolly Zacian, right? Even if there's no defense boost, if you intimidate the Zacian, same idea, that's still going to be a 3-hit KO. So that's a good calc to understand. If this was like Adamant, 252 Adamant, some people are running this, then if you intimidate it, then it's just above 50%, so it's like 11% chance for that 2-hit OHKO. But I'll take my 11% chance, because not all Zacians are running 252 attack Adamant. If you are, I need to know your name in the comment below. All right, so yeah, those are some of our basic Groudon calcs. There's a few more, but like these are the main ones. Like, what are you doing against Zacian, and how are you handling the Kyogre matchup, right? So let's just go on to some of the others. Okay, so this is the Grimmsnarl calc here. So with Reflect and Intimidate on Jolly Zacian, you actually live the Behemoth Blade, which is kind of funny. If it's Adamant 252, then you have a roll to live it. So 25% chance to OHKO. So I like those odds as well. Grimm is a tank, and Grimm can take a lot of hits, especially with those screens up. Really ruin opponent's day, stall out their max. Let's just go ahead and now check a look at some sample battles. Alright, this one doesn't matter. This one's relatively quick. So if this is Kyogre with like Zapdos and Whimsicott like this, the idea here is I still want to lead the Venusaur, but again, I do have the option with Incin. What I'm doing is I'm trying to intimidate either the Zacian, the Rillaboom, or the Incin that comes in and the lead. If it's Kyogre wanting to Water Spout, that's okay. I'm leading the Venusaur. And if it is Zapdos, then we think a little more, because then the Grimmsnarl could very well come in the lead, and that would be a better lead. And then have then have Groudon and Incin in the back. So in the end, I decided to go with this. Let me play it off. So I went with Venusaur and I went with Incin. He goes Whimsicott and he goes Zapdos. So one thing I can do here is I can fake out the Whims, but I don't think he's going to allow me to do that. So instead, I'm just going to swap into Groudon, get the speed boost. I know he's going to max Zapdos, put that thing to sleep. There goes the Dynamax. He's wasting that. And honestly, he just forfeits. I mean, I guess I would just try and play it out, because you still got your Zacian on the field, but technically I can just intimidate that. I can even sleep that slot and put pressure that way. So if the Zacian is feeling lucky, he can try and go for the kill, but then I just click Sleep Powder and then the game is over. Alright, so let's take a look at a couple more. One more with the Assault Vest Yveltal. Okay, so here I think with the mirror, especially against Yveltal, the Yveltal that he has, this is where Venusaur has a little bit of value, just because you have Quake into the Yveltal, and then you have Max Grass into Groudon and Gastrodon. The main thing is the Charizard, but you have your own Groudon and you have screens, and you're just gonna have a little bit more support than he has. So honestly, I just led Venusaur, Grimmsnarl with Groudon in the back. He leads Zard and Aleki, so he could go for his little E-Web spam, but he decides to protect his Zard. I went for double status moves into the Zard slot because I wanted to test if it was Berry, not Berry, if it was Lumberry. So I'll never get to know because he clicked protect. That's okay. He maxes the Zard here. I go for the light screen just to be able to try and survive an attack in the Incineroar slot. If he reads it and goes into Grimmsnarl, then that's bad. Alright. But instead, he goes into the Instance. That's good. Groudon protects. We just go for Reflect. And this is what I mean by Grimmsnarl being so good. We lived that Max Quake, but that the Zard also isn't Life Orb. But now Groudon's in a pretty good spot behind screens. It's not intimidated. We just want to survive one more turn of Max. We paralyzed the Zard, but again, it was Lumberry. So this is why I wanted to go with Paralysis and the other thing into the same slot in that same day. Alright, so he kills the Grim. That's fine. His Max is over. We still have ours. Here's our Venusaur. Here's our Max. The Groudon protects, but that's okay. We get the Vine Lash chip going. The Zard can go for Blast Burn if it wants, but then I click Rock Slide. It's going to die anyway. So let's see what he does. We do click Rock Slide. There's no Charizard Berry, nothing to fear. And there's that. So why did he want to stop my Venusaur? What do you have in the back that is that scary? It is Regieleki. So again, Regieleki is not going to be doing that much. Oh, excuse me. And there's the P-Blades. We get the Aleki the Sash. We deal some damage into the Slug. Okay, but the idea here is now what we can do is go for it again, because there's really not much that's stopping me here. So we have the instant to stall again another turn from your Groudon. There's the Leaf Storm into Gastrodon. It dies. Groudon's still up. Fire Spin. So again, we live Fire Punch from Groudon. Grimmsnarl screen support is just way too good. Now we have Fake Out, and now we click Sludge Bomb, and the game is over. I should have just clicked Earth Power. That might not have KO'd. But yeah, that's another. That was Venusaur doing a lot of damage. All right, let's take a look at one more. Okay, so here's another mirror, but this time it's Solgaleo and Yveltal. So I don't think he has a weakness policy. I think that could be like Life Orb or Assault Vest Solgaleo. God knows what kind of item that is. And I think the Yveltal with Tailwind, I think the Life Orb is on the Yveltal. And I don't know if you won weakness policy on the Solgaleo. Time flies. It remains to be seen. So instead, I'm just going to go with Yveltal Aleki, just to try and get some speed control. He goes into Aleki and Whimsicott. Alright, that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to max my Yveltal first. It's going to click Switcheroo and get the Sash and then make me have something else. But it does work for him, so congratulations to him. But the Airstream is now also in my favor. Now he could click Tailwind this turn, but I'm just going to Airstream again myself. So there's his laugh. Alright, and here's going to be mine. I believe I went into Whimsicott actually. So we get that down to Sash. But Groudon didn't goof up. There's the Fire Punch, goodbye Whimsicott, and then finally we have Solgaleo. So he protects, but that's okay. We click Airstream into the Yveltal, we kill that. Then we go for the Precipice Blades. He protected, but we just click it again next turn. He still has another Mon left, which is that Urshifu. I do need to break Sash here. Now, I do go for the double Heat Wave. Does a lot of damage. I know I proc policy, but you can only kill one at a time. There's the close combat there, but that's okay. Steel Spike, he finally gets rid of the Yveltal, but now he's just taking Precipice Blades, and we do connect, and now it's Groudon against the Solgaleo, and we're faster because we have the Tailwind. Actually, he still has one turn left, so he still has the Tailwind able to snipe my Venusaur, which is okay. From here, we just destroy the kitty, and then that's all that's that. So, yeah. Now we'll just show the pace one more time, and then we'll wrap it up here. Alright, so here's the first set with the Life Orb Venusaur and the Assault Vest Yveltal and Sitrus Berry Groudon with Rock Slide and Swords Dance. I think this is also relatively solid for how it wants to be played. Or we have the Life Orb Yveltal, Assault Vest Groudon, Weakness Policy Venusaur, and Thunder Wave I'm sorry, not the, that should be Scary Face. Scary Face Grimmsnarl. We'll update it in the paste in the video description. I forgot, that's one thing I did change. This should be Scary Face. And then Instant and Lucky stayed the same. So let me know which version you like, or if you really like Bronzong on this team, let me know, and then I'll consider it, and then I'll make that one. But Phil already has that. I'm sure Joe has a good spread for it as well, so you could just make it yourself. But yeah, we'll be back with another Series 12 team. Until next time, guys, have a good one.